Yikes.
I thought she said 7. I had to ask Claire. I cannot get over that.
Ready? Hey, welcome everybody to the Western Region Town Hall tonight. Thank you for coming out again. We're going to start with a great agenda tonight in a moment. We're going to do a roll call first. I'm Thomas Aceves, your chairperson for the board, for the council. Tim Kier. And,
Present.
Linda Alexander. Here. Lisa Benavides. Here. David Ebay is not here. At the moment. And Claudine Petricelli.
Present.
Awesome. We're going to take, did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes?
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
We're going to do, oh, did I miss over that? Okay, everybody up for a, let's do pledge of allegiance.
Everybody up.
And, you want to lead us with that, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much, Tim. Thank you, everyone. Now we're back to the minutes approval. Did everybody get a chance to read through the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion from Tim. Do we have a second? Claudine, there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Don't hear any. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We're going to go to public input first. Again, up to 3 minutes per citizen to provide input on any item not on the agenda, but within the council's jurisdiction. Worth Chair, I can extend the time to accommodate item if not appearing on the agenda. Items can be further discussed on a future agenda if the Worth Council decides to add it. Who would like to make a public comment? If you'd like to come up to the podium, anyone?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do an announcements. I'm allowing that because I know at the end of the night, it's some people. Thank you, Olga.
Just leave the mic as it is, it don't matter.
I just want to let everybody know that One Team, One Dream, which is a nonprofit organization, is now accepting applications for a small business competition. We're focusing on food and beverage industry because that's one of the markers for a good economy. So there's still time to apply. Just go to oneteamonedream.net and you can find out all about it and you can apply online or spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Board. Tom Lasik, speaking on behalf of PEG TV for a moment. A couple things for those that want to speak. The way these microphones work best is if you, instead of speaking like this, speak like this. That's the way they're set up. But the main reason I'm bringing it up is, as you know, we've had challenges with Zoom and things like that. So Thomas and I will be looking into a different technology possibly to pilot. So more to come on that when we figure it out. But we're looking at alternatives other than Zoom because it's not as stable as we would like. So I've been told to,
Yes,
I'm breaking the rules here. So anyways, just a heads up that probably sometime after April and before July, we'll be piloting a different technology. We'll let you know what that is so you can put it into your minutes for agendizing your Worth meeting and more to come. And it's a pilot, so we're not sure if it'll make it better, but we need to try. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Anyone else would like to make a 3-minute input? Anyone on the, up here? Okay, I'm going to make just a little comment. We did a trash cleaning on the Nice Cutoff on Sunday morning, and Tim and Linda and Catherine, another person, and we had, who else we have there? Dennis came out, and we got quite a bit up, and mattress and all sorts of goodies. I want to thank all those people for doing that, but I also want to thank I had emailed Lori Price at Rhodes to have the crew pick up the trash. I emailed them Monday morning, and I was going to work through that Nice Cutoff, and it was already gone. So on the record, appreciate to the road crew. I also emailed her and told her thank her, and she hopefully will get that back to the road crew. That's a cooperation. Those are things that get done. And we hope to, we have to get out there, of course, and pick up this stuff, but the cooperation of the county does work when it works well, and that works really well. So I thank them for that. If anybody ever wants to help us out there, we have more future dates. There's always more trash to pick up. And if you want to adopt your own road in your area, you can certainly reach out to Lori Price, and she'll give you bags and pickers. It's a great thing to do, and it's the only way we're going to keep.
And we've been doing it
Been doing it like 8 years or 9. I don't know what it's been. It's been a long time. 17, I think I started it with, and then recruited everybody.
Yep.
So, and then I'll make an announcement real quick since people are here. Many people may know, but the Lake Area Planning Council is having a Lake County Local Road Safety Plan public meeting announced. It's announced on Monday. The Lake Area Planning Council invites community members to attend an open house public meeting to learn about ongoing updates to 3 local road safety plans for the County of Lake, the City of Clear Lake, and the City of Lakeport. That meeting will be at the Lakeport City Council Chambers, Monday, the 23rd at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So if you're interested in all that's going on with the Lake County Local Road Safety Plan. Okay, that's it for me. Anyone else?
Yes, I do have.
Yeah, go ahead.
Test. Is it working now? Okay. I just wanted to give everyone an update on the Meadow Point mobile home water situation. So as you remember, there was an issue with the black water. Last week, I received multiple notifications from residents in the park, again with pictures of their bathtub filling with black water. And a text message from the park manager that said, "We don't need to give you a boil advisory, the water's safe." And so I was like, really, would you put your child in a tub of black water and bathe them? Because I don't think you would. So I called the State Water Resources Board again, and I spoke to Bridget Holloway on Friday, and then I spoke to Zach Rounds, who is the supervisor. I spoke to him on Monday. I do just want to give this as a public announcement. The State Water Resources Board has been incredibly responsive. Every time I reach out, I get notification from them within 24 hours. And so they did provide me with an update. They sent the water is not recommended to drink. Now it is manganese, so there is not a legal limit that says what's potable or not potable with manganese, although they are working on it because there's research that shows you probably shouldn't drink black water no matter what the mineral is in it. They did issue a citation and compliance order to Meadow Point Park to address the water issue, which includes a filtration system to get the manganese out of the water. They have until the 20th, which is this Friday, to respond to that notice. They must submit a notice to the Water Resources Board on how they plan to address it. Once the State Water Resources Board receives that plan, they will review it, and then they typically, the timeline for when they have to have the water fixed would be by May time. But if the issue is such that it requires like an extensive fix, the Water Resources Board does have the right to extend it to give them enough time to actually fix the issue. Or Meadow Point Harmony Communities could have already addressed it and in their plan say, we have addressed it this way. So I asked if they had to provide an alternative source of water at this point, and because it is manganese that does not have a legal, he used the terminology, but the certain level that's in
parts per million.
Yes, because there's not a legal ppm that says they cannot require them to issue. The Water Resources Board can't, but he recommended that I reach out to the Housing and Community Development to see if they had additional requirements. So I will be doing that. But I wanted to give you guys an update, just so you know why I'm not posting on Facebook about this, is after I posted on Facebook the last time, I did receive some pretty, I would say, aggressive emails from the owner, as well as once I submitted the complaint to the Water Resources Board, my phone number was given to the park manager. And so the retaliation that they're doing to the residents, they are trying to also do to anyone that's trying to help the residents. I hope you all know me well enough by now to know I'm not easily intimidated, and I will keep doing the work. But that is why you're not seeing the updates on Facebook, because I would like to the best of my abilities, protect the residents that are making these claims. So that's my update. I just wanted to make sure we provided it and let you know that it is a real issue. The residents are being gaslit and told that it's not, but it is a real issue, and the State Water Resources Board agrees that it's an issue, and it will either be addressed or escalated in the next couple weeks.
All right, thank you for the follow-up and helping the community over there. That's a dangerous health hazard. I mean, I'm on the board for the Nice Mutual Water Company, and, you know, learning more about that every time I have a meeting about the water quality and drinking water and so forth. I hope the state gets on this immediately, faster than 2 weeks.
So we're not expecting to get any black water in Nice?
No.
Okay.
There's other things, no. Just kidding. So we're going to go to our guests now. We have Director Maria Turner from Community Development, and also we have Deputy County Administrator Officer Lisa Judd from Housing. Thank you for attending the meeting, and they'll be discussing the general plan and local plans and pro-housing designation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. While we're getting that warmed up and started, I'll just go over quickly the handouts that are on that table. First, this is the map of the proposed planning area boundaries. You'll probably remember that in 2024, we talked about scooching Lucerne over into Upper Lake Nice planning area, and so we've renamed that the North Lake planning area. This is a timeline for the rest of year 3 of our 3-year project, the Lake County 2050 update. We have pages for you to take notes because this is a gripping presentation. You're going to want to remember every moment. We have a very Cliff Notes version of goals and goals for countywide elements, and then about halfway through, it'll flip over or starts the North Lake communities planning area. We have countywide, again, this is another Cliff Notes version, just more extended, countywide goals, policies, and actions. North Lake community planning area element, goals, policies, and actions. And that's it. That's all I have. So I want to thank you for coming tonight. We are starting the public review period for the documents, all the draft documents. I was here, I guess, probably like in 2024 when we were gathering a whole bunch of public input, and that fed into creating these draft documents that are now here for your review. This is year 3 of the 3-year Lake County 2050 project, and just as a refresher, because it's been a while, we are changing things up with this one. This is different than the 2008 general plan update, and that is because we are simultaneously updating every local area plan. And because we were concerned, people were expressing concern to us that the local area plan wasn't given as much consideration as the general plan as far as, you know, ongoing projects and things like that. So in order to fix that, we have integrated all 8 local area plans into their own chapter in the general plan. So it's going to be one document, general plan, with local planning area elements as chapters within that document. That'll help to take care of any sort of like visual concern about having 2 separate standalone documents. All of these are going to be submitted to the state as our Lake County General Plan at the end of this year. If you want to refer to that timeline, and I'll get started on the slides in just a second, so there'll probably be some slides that we can skip because I'm actually talking about them right now. This timeline in that butterscotchy orange section are the times for public review at different areas. Right now, we are doing a public review of all general plan documents and the EIR, the environmental impact document. That is out for public review until April 24th, so I highly recommend you take a look at the EIR. It's actually really, really interesting, and it's in small sections. It's got a ton of smaller sections, so find one that you find interesting and make sure your comments and your input are collected. We have surveys available to just walk you through the questions. You know, basically did we get anything wrong? Is there anything that we're missing? Is there anything else that you want to add? Also, we are holding during the months of March and April, we are holding LAPAC, the Local Area Plan Advisory Committee meetings, as well as the GPAC, General Plan Advisory Committee meetings. The GPAC meetings are to go over the county-wide elements, and the LAPAC meetings are going to go over the North Lake Planning Area element. Okay, I guess we can start with the slides. Thank you. Next. Project overview and process. Keep going. General plan, just a refresher. General plan is the 20-year community visioning document that guides the government, the County of Lake. Planning uses it all the time when we're doing use permits. Other agencies, NGOs like the Resource Conservation District, lots of different organizations that seek grant funding for their projects refer to the general plan because the funding agencies, particularly the state and federal agencies, want to see that we're just not, winging it, that we're not just applying for grants to do projects that are outside of what the citizens of Lake County, what the residents of Lake County are saying they want to see. And so it's important that projects or goals and priorities are listed and included in this general plan because for the next 20 years, this is going to support projects getting funded in Lake County. Key changes, already covered that. We're integrating all 8 local area plans. Oh wait, go back, in case I missed that second one. Oh, and we renamed Shoreline Communities Area Plan, which is now going to be Glen Haven through Spring Valley, as well as some of the unincorporated areas of Clear Lake. That's now going to be called the East Lake. And then Lucerne is scooching over to the Upper Lake Neese, and that's going to be called North Lake. We did have a recommendation to call Lakeport Area Plan the West Lake, and so we're going to put that in front of the board. Overall process. Yep, we're on year 3. We identified goals in year 2. We did a lot of writing and the environmental impact report on last year on year 2, and now here you have our documents that need your editing. Go ahead. Boy, have we had meetings. Year 1, we had a ton of meetings to gather all these key issues, to make sure that we were gathering all the goals and priorities, the things that really resonated with our residents. And then we had stakeholder focus groups. The environmental justice stakeholder, we'll talk about that element going forward. We also had one just focusing on Spanish speaking and one focusing on agriculture. GPAC had a bunch of meetings. LAPAC had an even bigger bunch of meetings. There we go. Draft general plan overview. Okie doke. Another refresher moment, we sort of changed things up. Since we were adding the local area plans into the single document, some of the stuff that used to be described as county-wide, like circulation and open space, now we find that we can cover them better if they're unique to each planning area. And so we've kind of scooched some of the subjects around. So the county-wide elements are still included, like housing, which the housing element is actually not part of this project. We're just getting ramped up to start that housing element on a separate timeline. Water resources, agriculture, health safety, geothermal, and noise. These are items, the items on the left are the one that the GPAC are going to go over 3 different meetings starting on March 20th. And then the planning area elements in the red, that's what our LAPAC is going to go over. Next slide, please. This is a whole bunch of pieces and parts that are all part of the general plan now. You'll see you'll see all the local area elements are the chapters 8 through 15. We've added a glossary. Aggregate Resources Management Plan, which is how we regulate extraction of resources from our creeks and our quarries, is not part of this update, but it is going to remain part of the general plan. Let's keep going. And people can, feel free to let me know if you have a question too, anytime. Land use map. Okay, there are two maps that govern how land is used in Lake County. One is part of the Lake County 2050 project. That is the land use designation map. And it identifies land as far as low, medium, and high residential, density residential, community commercial, industrial, agricultural, rural lands, things like that. And some of those are then similarly termed in the other map, which is the Lake County zoning map. Now that zoning map is what people usually look at when they're wondering what they can do with their parcel. And so by law, the zoning map has to synchronize with the general plan's land use designation map. So what we're working on in our LAPAC, we're going to go over the changes that we have recommended or that have been recommended in these land use designations. They've already been approved in concept by the board, but we want to make sure that there's nothing else that the residents want. And then after Lake County 2050 is adopted by the board and then certified by the state, so in early 2027, we're going to start updating the Lake County zoning map so that the two remain synchronized and complementary. This is a summary of the different draft elements. It's a lot of text. Water Resources talks about our lake and our watershed. Ag talks about ways that the county can support, encourage, and ensure a diversified, sustainable, and healthy ag industry. Health and Safety talks a lot about how the climate is affecting or how we are vulnerable in different areas due to climate and man-made hazards. Geothermal Resources talks about geothermal resources, located mostly in our south part of our county. And then Noise talks, it mainly focuses on the largest noise generators, which is our highways, and talks about possible changes over the next 20 years, ways to minimize noise, ways we can deal with noise as sort of a negative impact in our lifestyles. Land use we just covered in our maps. Circulation talks about how we get from here to there within Lake County with all the various types of roads and highways. And then open space conservation and recreation. So this talks about preserving what Lake County holds dear. Our open spaces, our view sheds, our lake conservation and recreation opportunities, the parks that we have around the county. Also, you'll notice in this one and in a lot of the, every single local area plan, you'll see a new, an introduction of the priority to value and preserve tribal cultural resources. That is new also in the 2008 general plan, as well as the local area plans. You're going to see a lot more introduction, recognition of our tribes as co-residents, even though they have their own sovereign nations and jurisdictions, and we don't dictate that stuff, and they don't tell us what to do. They are also residents of Lake County, and so we recognize that more formally in all countywide elements as well as our local area plans. Our planning area elements. Environmental justice is a brand new chapter or element for this general plan update according to state law. This focuses on the communities that are typically disenfranchised or left out of long-range planning efforts. This could be our Spanish-speaking or non-English speaking communities, our tribal communities, senior communities, low-income communities, people who don't always show up on these long-range planning processes. And so because we don't want to end up with something that unintentionally harms these communities, the state wants this environmental justice element to make sure that we have included these communities within this planning so that we won't end up with like an industrial plant next to a neighborhood. Things like that you hear about in some other communities that are negatively impacting people who don't always have a strong voice. The environmental justice element is how we're making sure that that strong voice is heard. And then public facilities and services. This could be anything from county buildings to water, wastewater, garbage, services that we count on, law enforcement, fire protection. Those are all covered in that element. Environmental review. It took all of year 2 to do the environmental impact report. And that is because we had to wait until the end of year 1, where we gathered all the input from the community as far as what the goals and priorities were in order to create what was a detailed project description, which is necessary when you launch your CEQA process, because you're evaluating this big old project, all these things that the community says we want to see, and you have to take a look at from a number of different lenses or sort of subject matter. You have to take a look at how this big old project could impact the environment. And then once you figure out how it could impact the environment, you have to take a look at all the ways that we can mitigate or we can lessen that impact, because we'd like to make sure everything is at a less than significant environmental impact. However, an environmental impact report is required for these types of projects because there are a number of areas that cannot be mitigated to less than significant. And so you have to do that full environmental impact review to show then the deciding body, which is the Board of Supervisors, a number of areas. In this instance, it is, I think there will be some light impacts, some traffic impacts, some noise impacts, because part of the project is an increase of a certain square footage of commercial area and a certain square footage increase of residential area, as well as some increases in industrial area. Those are going to have impacts that we cannot lessen to less than significant. So we're going to hand all of that over to the Board of Supervisors so they can make a ruling that the community interest outweighs the impacts to the environment. That's what gets set before the board. Next steps. All right. Now through April 30th, please, please, please give us every piece of input that you can on the general plan and its documents. April 24th is the deadline for comments on the environmental impact report. After that, we're going to take all the input that we get and we're going to do some final versions of the public draft, some final edits. Then they will come out again in, let's see, July, it looks like from here. This fall, please be looking for press releases and notices in the Record B as well as the Lake County News about the noticed public hearings before the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors. Those are scheduled to take place, I think, in September and October. And we will notify, since this project affects more than 1,000 parcels, by state law, we do our public hearing notification by a 1/8 page or 1/8 advertisement in the local paper. But we're hopefully going to be able to use Trevor from the administrative office, who's like our press release wizard. We'll be getting it out in as many avenues as possible. And now is my favorite part, if you have any questions.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions from the council here? Okay, Lisa?
Yay.
I have several.
Oh, good.
I have been trying to prepare.
Okay.
because
I appreciate that.
I
Thank
have
you.
printed it all out, and it was a beast, so.
It's
thank-
reams, multiple reams.
Sorry, I would just like to ask, so first for everyone here, I just want to read this because this is what led to my question. In the chapter 1, is this on? Yeah, you guys can hear me? Okay. It says that there's 2 subsections real quick. The general plan is sometimes referred to as a community's constitution because all county policies and decision-making must be consistent with the general plan. Nope, that's it. So my question to that is, and then my follow-up question is, so if I'm understanding that correctly, that this document, when it's in its final version, everything that the CDD does, as far as like major use permits or approving new facilities or anything, it's going to be tied to whatever is written in this plan. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
that is
Okay.
exactly right.
Okay.
Part of our staff report that goes before the Planning Commission or the Board of Supervisors is a listing of the way that this project, as it is described, is compliant with the general plan, the local area plan, and the zoning code.
Okay.
Additionally, I got even more. Anytime the government wants to do something like buy land, get rid of land, build something, destroy something, they have to come to the Planning Commission with what's called a general plan conformity determination.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay, so that leads to my follow-up question for the
Okay.
geothermal
Yes.
section. Is that where we would tackle any kind of like, I don't want to say policies or what have you, but thinking about the Sonoma Clean Power and the GeoZone stuff that happened last fall, and the question was like, well, what's the parameters and the boundaries of that? Is this plan, when we're reviewing that geothermal section, should we be thinking about things like outside agencies wanting to create geozones?
that is a totally cool question. Not exactly. The answer is not exactly. The geothermal element talks about how we regulate geothermal resources and their extraction and use in Lake County. Sonoma Clean Power is a little different because they don't just specifically use geothermal. They are a collection of different powers, which just totally gives me the opportunity to talk about something that is also going on in Lake County, which we are receiving a number of inquiries for a variety of sustainable energy projects. And so what I'm really hoping to see, which may hopefully come out of the energy ad hoc, that the board set up as a result of the Sonoma Clean Power discussion, I have been promoting that we need an additional element or a different element than just geothermal, something that would be more of a sustainable energy element, so that we can be proactive and get in front of the things that we're seeing now, like hydrogen extraction, closed loop hydrogeology, hydroelectric power, wind power, solar power, a lot more of these, and even smaller footprint geothermal projects, so that we can get ahead of that and have the voice and the desires of the residents of Lake County be listed for us to use when we get these projects, because these are some of the things that we've never had to consider before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, and then I'll just have two questions, and then I'll yield to everyone else. Those LAPAC and GPAC meetings that you were talking about, those are
Yes.
open to anyone and everyone, or just the committee?
Everyone and anyone.
Okay.
Please welcome everybody. Tell them all. Tell your neighbors.
And do we have the dates for those?
Oh, shoot. We have one GPAC. The first GPAC is March 20th. It's this Friday. One? Huh? No, it's this Friday. Yeah. And I think it's at 1. But take a look at lakecounty2050.org. That is the hub website for this whole project, and there is an events tab that'll take you to the calendar.
Okay.
I was just checking my phone before I came up here, and I couldn't find the next North Shore LAPAC, but as soon as I do, I'd be happy to, I could email Thomas, and let's get that distributed, and we will also post it on that same website.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'll actually add it to the work website as well.
I would
so
love
that's
that.
Another way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. And then, I'm totally sorry. Thank you for coming. I
Oh.
should have started with that. My bad. I really appreciate opportunities like this to be able to talk about this stuff with the public. The last question I had, and I was trying to find it, I can't find it. Could you explain the impact? I'm still trying to figure out what paper parcels are. I'm still trying to get my head on what exactly that is.
Sure.
And I thought I had saw somewhere, and I had definitely been told that in this plan, we're recommending changing paper parcels to public facilities, and I'm not really understanding that, so I was wondering.
Yeah, I
if
could totally walk you through that.
Yeah.
So paper parcels, before 1971, you could create a new parcel by just writing that land description and getting it recorded, and boom, you got a new parcel. Paper parcels were created in that manner in the 30s and 40s of last century, and never developed. So there's no infrastructure, there's no water, there's no sewer. Some of the roads have been bladed, but they don't really exist. Nobody can really develop there because the roads aren't big enough to get a fire truck up. You can't get any water, and some of these parcels are like this big, and you can't get, septic or sewer, so they're just not developable. And so the board, a long time ago, I don't know when, created an overlay called the SOS overlay, the substandard older subdivision. And that's an overlay so that people looking at these properties, hopefully doing enough due diligence, know that in order to build on this parcel, you have to create a road from the county road up to your parcel, which is going to require like pieces of everybody else's parcel so you can build the road up to current standards. And it's just, we make it as clear as possible that it's cost prohibitive to develop up there. Now, what happens is these parcels get sold online or by people who are taking advantage of the fact that people don't always do the due diligence. And so we've had people drive out, you know, thinking that they can retire and they can't even get to the parcel. And they're thinking that this is like their retirement place. And so it's just been a great wrong to do to people who are unsuspecting. And so what we're doing at this, changing the land use designation map, the one that I talked about before, we're changing the land use designation from, they are currently rural residential, suburban reserve, I don't even know if they're rural lands, but all of those say you can build a house on them. So in 2015, when the board did the paper subdivision management plan, they talked about the highest and best use for these properties, some of which, or a lot of which have very unstable soils, very steep slopes. You can't do a lot, but it would be great for trails. It'd be an awesome trail system. And so this land use designation amendment is taking them from something that says you can build a house to public facilities, which says you can build trail systems, open space, parks, things like that. And my hope in promoting this to the board is that people will no longer have a misconception about being able to build on these parcels. And so they'll stop being fooled and stop wasting their money.
And how does that impact the value of the land for the people that own it?
It will make them recognize that they can't build on those properties. So already right now, these parcels are not very expensive. It's not like if you're looking, in Lakeport or Kelseyville or something like that on a vacant parcel that you can actually build on. But it will, it probably will affect the property values, but it will do so in a way that makes it more realistic.
And last question, sorry. Is there any way that have we done any outreach specifically to the landowners to get their feedback on how it would impact their land? And if so, what has that feedback been?
We have done that not for the paper parcel owners, but because it was going to cost me $5,000 in mailing fees because there's so many of them. Because CDD is really squeezing everything out of every penny, I decided not to do that. But what we did do was send out mailers to all property owners where LAPACs made recommendations for land use designation changes, and we had an open town hall as well as an email and a phone number for them to call. And so, because I didn't want, what we've heard the last 20 years where people say, oh, you guys rezoned my property and you never bothered to tell me. We made sure that we tried to tell them this time. So those folks do hopefully know.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right.
These are great. Yeah, Tim.
Tim?
Yes, about the paper parcels, just for curiosity, could you put more than one together and build on it?
Possibly. And we have had one property owner do that. He was at the end of a road that already had municipal services, though. And he parceled enough together and then rezoned it to R1. A lot of these parcels, you could go ahead and merge them all together and try to build something, but you'd still have to build a road from the county line, from the county road.
Then you'd at least have something to build a road to, sort of thing.
Yes.
Just a quick
But,
question.
oh, I'm sorry. Since we have not had anybody try to do that in the last 20 years or maybe longer since we've had SOS properties, this land use designation change, you can always try to reverse it going through a rezone and a general plan amendment application. And so that would be an opportunity for those property owners. But it would tell the other 10,000 property owners that this is not someplace you're going to build a house.
Claudine?
My question was regarding taxation. My question is regarding taxation to these properties that can never be developed. Is there a minimum that they're taxed on, or do you have any answer to that?
I'm thankful every day that I don't deal with taxes. Yeah. That would be a question for our treasurer tax collector, Patrick Sullivan. But you know what? It's a good question. So I'll try to have that answered before the LAPAC meeting. Yeah.
And what percentage of the North Shore is, we hold the most paper parcels, right, Maria, in the North Shore?
Yep.
How much
Most of them
percentage
are
of-
in Nice Lucerne area. There's like a little bitty bit in Cobb and like a teeny tiny one going out like past Spring Valley. But yes, the majority of the 10,000 plus are in Nice and Lucerne.
And that's Pile Road area, right? And then other
No,
outskirts?
I don't know that Pile Road is SOS. It's more in the hills, like when you're driving along and
okay.
you can't see much because there's this cliff right there. Yeah, those.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, okay. Okay, let's go out to the public. We got Olga, and if you can state your name and,
So Olga Martin Steele, and maybe this was a question that Claudine was asking, I'm not sure. But for those parcels, how do the taxes get paid? Who pays those? Is that on the taxpayer, or do you not, is that a tax collector?
All property taxes are payable by the property owner.
But what if they don't?
You know, actually, there have been a few different discussions recently before the board regarding default tax sales. This is like the elementary school. Oh, good, I see Supervisor Crandall standing up. Feel free to jump in.
all right, hold on.
Yes.
So once those go on, a lot of them are like 20 years and further back. They sit on the docket, and each time that they have to rerun it, because after 5 years you have to rerun every tax defaulted property, and it costs more for them to it costs so much more for them to list it, put it out there, and the resources it takes to do all the due diligence for each property. It ends up putting them back, and not to mention very few of the parcels get sold anyhow. The actual legitimate, not the defaulted paper subdivisions. So those sit, and then they just keep accumulating, and they sit, and then they go the next year. So it costs a lot more to retain them. That's why they want to conduct a low-value ordinance, and it actually got pushed back. But the low-value ordinance would ensure that some of these properties are put in a different aspect. The other thing about it is we've talked, tax collector and myself, we had talked about another initiative where we can designate some of these properties as being either negotiated or sold or something like that to different nonprofit organizations, tribes, or just businesses or whatever the case may be, to ensure that some of these come off of those defaulted properties, and they can be used for things like greenbelt or spaces for trails and things like that. That's also part of the committee that Brad and I are on, and so we're going to be pushing forward a meeting here in the near future with Pat and a couple other folks. So I hope that helps answer some of
EJ,
that.
could you answer a question regarding abatement? Are these up in the mountains so they're not reachable, or how does that factor in?
So a lot of these properties, they are yes, they're far up, abandoned. They don't have a lot of resources when it comes to any infrastructure, and the roads to get there are usually either washed out or there's non-existent. So some of them are just in between other properties. So Johnny Johnson might have one up in the middle, but he can't even get to it because there's 10 others around it or in other areas with no road to it. So a lot of times they're just like, I don't even care about it then. One of the things I know is they've been trying to donate them to local tribes and things like that, but the tribes won't take it because it's still fee, and then you have to pay taxes on it. So it's a real conundrum, if you will.
Yeah, and I'm sure Dave could also tell you stories about how even though we don't know how to get out there with our abatement trucks, somehow it doesn't stop crazy people in RVs from like getting into like who knows where. Yeah, our code staff looks at it and it's like,
How do they get the RVs
yeah,
up there?
yeah,
Elves.
yeah, it's nuts.
Elves, I
So,
guess.
yeah.
What were you gonna?
Yeah, I just had, just a thought, and I'll make sure I submit public comment too, but, I appreciate the fact that we're trying to find ways to ensure that folks do not, aren't preyed on.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, especially because it's vulnerable people that get preyed on.
Yeah.
I personally am very concerned about this because the landowners haven't been informed. And I think if I owned land, and I wasn't informed, and, some people are paying taxes on there, and some people, aren't preying on folks. So for me, I'm concerned that this is not the right solution. So I would just ask if we could be creative about
You know
additional
what?
solutions.
We could probably post a notice in the paper.
Well, that's what I was
That's
gonna
a good
ask.
idea.
Once,
Yeah.
once this is adopted, and not, there's still time to change the plan, right? So if there's enough thoughts or a different thought, we can change the plan, but.
Yeah.
My question was gonna be, once the plan goes into place, how long do people have? And also, for the people that are paying taxes, if the property value goes down, does the county revenue go down from the taxes? Because the property value.
A lot of these parcels are getting like $10, $100 a year in taxes, and a huge number of them are tax defaulted, but that's just me
$100 times
speaking
10,000.
anecdotally. Yeah. So I'll talk to Patrick
Thank you.
and get that for the LAPAC meeting.
All right, thank you for that. Anyone else in the public would like to ask any comments or questions? Okay, Margot?
Margot Kambara. Thank you. More of a comment. So one of the observations I have is that it's very difficult for the community to work on its general plan and to plan for growth and development when the housing plan is separate from the general plan, especially when we have some of our neighbors who are in mobile home parks who are being preyed upon by predatory landlords. When we need to have a plan B for our neighbors, such as finding land and helping those neighbors with either loans, either through the housing trust or community foundation or other nonprofits, and other maybe more creative solutions to find land so those neighbors can relocate. And they may have to abandon their mobile homes, maybe find other affordable housing options, but this also ties in tangentially into the pro-housing designation. Not directly, because it doesn't look like it's really looking for land purchase, but more for streamlining construction. But anyway, I see that as a big gap in our approach to the general plan. I also caution the county on reconciling all the local area plans to the general plan, because the general plan is supposed to be the overarching plan, not just the local area plan for a region. That can be a problem for uniformity across the county, especially
so?
with things like water resources.
How so? I'm interested.
Well, if one portion of the county is more liberal or feels that it doesn't have to be as conservation-minded with its water, it may feel that, it's not a problem. And so it's not going to be as stringent with certain requirements. What?
I'm not sure that's accurate, but I take your point. Yeah.
What?
Though the local area plan has always had equal value with the general plan. So it's not, this is more of clearing it up for optics, because it's always had the same value. And there are always some small differences, some fine tuning and customization that goes towards the local area plans by community. However, there are a number of things that resonated no matter which community you're from. We love our lake. We love the natural beauty of the county. We want our kids to be able to get to school safely. We like our small communities, our small business communities. We want housing, but we don't want to be in an Albany or a city. And so those sort of things all resonated no matter where the person was that was taking those surveys.
Right, but one region's tolerance might be higher than another. For example, in the Middletown area plan currently, there's a tolerance for 10% loss of a standing grove of trees. Now that's pretty big for one grove. And that may not be as,
Any projects that are identified and evaluated on a case-by-case, project-by-project basis will have to comply with the general plan as well as the local area plans. So I don't know that we'll see some communities hacking down all their trees because nobody cares. And, and we are already requiring hydrological reports for water, proving that water is sufficient for a proposed project, and that's on every discretionary project that is not on or not proposing municipal water. So there are some concerns. I'm pretty sure that we won't have much of a variance community by community as far as the concern for preservation of water resources. That's pretty uniform across the state, across the country.
We have someone in the back, Tim?
Kate
Hi,
Parankama
Kate.
from Nice, and I'm concerned, Maria, historically, because we have, I believe, over 60 different water districts in Lake County, that I'm aware that there are distinguishing characteristics, whether you're in the North Shore, or whether you're in Middletown, or whether you're in Findlay. And I think that historically, it can be demonstrated that there have been some moderate to serious inconsistencies in the delivery in terms of the quality or the consistency. And I think that should be addressed in the general plan.
I would really appreciate it if you wrote that comment at the Lake County 2050, because I'm going to scribble it down right now, Kate, but in case I don't get it right, address.
Not positive about the actual number, but I heard on KPFZ, which according to some of us here is pretty reliable, that we have 60 different water districts.
That's a lot.
Like we have 150 easily mobile home
Sure.
parks of varying sizes. And of course, some of them are mama papa owned or generationally passed on down, and as few as maybe a dozen spaces. And then we have those that have as many as 81 or even a couple of hundred spaces. And it's really hard when Lake County has been seen as a traditional respite for overpriced housing in suburban areas to basically not offer some comfort and some cover for the citizens that are presently here.
Thank you. What I got was, tell me if I got it right, address good and standard quality from private and public water districts.
I mean, you were here at the beginning of the meeting, so you heard that a quantity of manganese can change the clarity of your water.
Yes.
And I know that I would find that absolutely unacceptable to even pour out for my pets, much less be expected by someone who is responsible for overseeing my tenancy to tell me it was okay to drink.
Right? I know.
think I would go ballistic.
I shared the horror that I think most of us felt with that story. Good. Just in case, please make sure you go to lakecounty2050.org and put that comment in, because it's a good one. We need this input. Thank you, Kate.
All right. Anyone else in the public? Anyone at the table here?
Just the meeting on Friday
Yes.
at 1,
Yes.
where is that at?
Board of Supervisors chambers, and it will be a hybrid meeting. The first 2 of the 3 GPAC meetings will be hybrid in the board chambers. The last one, the final one, will be virtual only. And so that link is available, will be available on all 3 agendas.
All right. Thank you very much.
I want to thank everybody for giving me this opportunity to speak. Also, if I could introduce, you're doing your pro-housing thing, right? Okay. So as you've noticed in the last couple years, every time we have an opportunity to gather public members together for input, we like load everything on. So not just Lake County 2050, but you all have done input into the climate adaptation, the adaptation plan, the housing action and implementation plan. And so tonight we just have a little add-on, it's a smaller one, for the pro-housing designation. And so we have Deputy CAO for Housing, Lisa Judd, ready.
All right,
Do I need
thanks.
to switch places? Do you have
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate it.
Let's see if I can get this microphone right. Thank you so much for letting me come here today to talk about the pro-housing designation. The California Housing and Community Development has put forth an initiative to try to incentivize jurisdictions to be able to create housing. We all know that there's a housing crisis in California and that we need more housing. And this is a way to reward those jurisdictions that put forth policies and procedures that facilitate housing development and look for ways to mitigate barriers. And so with that, the pro-housing designation program is originally incentivizing and giving you a carrot so that you get more points when you're applying for different grants and things like that. We all know that we need funding in order to have housing. And so that kind of makes us competitive, especially when we're a rural area that we are competing against these larger areas that have huge staff that are able to apply for these grants. This gives us a little bit more of an edge to be able to apply for that. And the benefits are really twofold because the policies and procedures that we're putting in place are things to help us. So there's basically a bunch of different options that we can choose, and we don't have to do every one. I know some people have voiced concerns about lack of control and the ability to choose. And so when we're going through that pro-housing application, there's different options that we can choose essentially. And in those, we can tailor what we've already been given from the community. We did the very extensive community engagement with the Housing Action Implementation Plan and our previous housing element, and we chose to use those as our emphasis for the things that we selected on that application. There's an entire list of the different types of things that will give us priority when we do this. As a first-time pro-housing designation, once we receive that, we get even more points, so you have a much more likelihood of getting those points and funding. Some of you may know that we have a housing trust fund, and so that is one of the options that we could do. There's other things that we could do as well, and we could put that in that housing trust fund to help housing in our communities. And then we are kind of pushing this one to try to get this in by March 31st. And the reason for doing that is because there's a Pro-Housing Incentive Program, PIP, all of the acronyms. And in that one, that we have we could get another $750,000 that we could have for our communities. And in this federal landscape, that's a hard thing to get funding these days. In those application that we're doing, you have to get about 30 points is the threshold. There's 4 different categories. They're favorable zoning and land use, acceleration housing timeframes, and reduction of construction and development costs, and providing financial subsidies. In addition to that, there's enhancement factors. So there's different things that we can do to essentially have more points so we can be more competitive. And the good news is that we can submit now, and we can, as time goes on, we can add to that what makes sense for us in our community. I would also like to say that I know everyone has lots of surveys, and so we also have a survey, and we also have a QR code. And a link to the survey if you don't like the QR codes. And it's a short survey, it's about 5 questions, but really it's helpful to get the feedback from the community, so I urge you to look at that and encourage you to fill that out. Also, I wanted to just throw out there too that if you go to the County of Lakes Housing Administration page, on the left-hand side, you'll see a housing link. And that housing link has more information about the pro-housing designation. It also has information in case you missed out on the Housing Action and Implementation Plan. If you want some reading material, there's like 400 pages there for your reading pleasure. But it's segmented, so if you're interested in just what the goals and strategies are, you could look at that. Or if you're interested in community engagement, you can look at that as well. And then there's also some information on our Housing Trust Fund. And we also just launched housing and economic development web pages that has information, housing resources, the housing plan again, and that is clearlylakecountyca.com. So I encourage you to look at that as well. And with that, that is really what we're looking at is going through the end of March to submit that application so that we can get those funds. And again, this is a fluid type of situation, so as time goes on, we can add to our pro-housing so that we can become more competitive for those future grant opportunities. So with that, I will open it up for any questions.
Yeah, we're going to come back to the council first. I know being in other communities, Santa Rosa, Sonoma County particularly, and other, you see this building going on constantly. Well, is that what we're going after here, is trying to get developers to come in and build more housing?
We're certainly wanting to incentivize developers, and in that, we still have our capacity. I know that there was a strong comment from the public that we want to preserve our rural character, so this doesn't necessarily mean, large complexes or anything like that. Most of those would have to happen in an area that would qualify for tax credit allocations, but this does allow us to having other funding opportunities.
Well, we certainly need housing here, just like all other communities, and they're building a lot everywhere in needs. And I don't want to harm, I don't want the character to be harmed, but we need affordable housing for people, more of it. And hopefully this will lead us to funding for that, and we'll start seeing some projects. Anybody else would like to comment? Lisa?
Yes. Hi. Thank you for coming tonight. I think this sounds really promising, so thank you for sharing this with us. I have a question. Two questions. One, the $750,000 that you were saying, if we meet the March 31st deadline, is that guaranteed? Like, if we get it, we get it?
It's not guaranteed. However, because it's our first time, most of the awardees are your first time pro-housing when they get their pro-housing designation. What I noticed, it was really interesting because I looked at the awards, and so the points, you would think the highest points would always get it, but that wasn't necessarily true depending on who was a first time pro-housing designation awardee.
Okay.
So it does change.
I mean, it puts us in a pretty good place.
Yes, it puts us in a very competitive position, yes.
And then the second question I had is, if we were to achieve the pro-housing designation, does that add a significant administrative burden to our already overburdened county staff in any way, or does it have any financial implications for the county?
I think that's an excellent question, and luckily, one of the things about this is the first thing we did was look and see what do we already have, right? What points do we already have? And so we had quite a few points already. The Housing Action and Implementation Plan as well also had a bunch of different things and strategies that qualified us, so that was really helpful. The establishment of the Regional Housing Trust Fund in December of 2024 also gave us points. So it's not an administratively burdensome thing. Now, going after the grants, that always is a heavy lift. But at least we have those opportunities to go for those grants.
Thank you.
Jim?
Is this on? Yeah. Okay. Pro-housing, or something for housing, call it pro. Is that also going to overlap into keeping people in their homes? Because in Lake County, one of the biggest problems for housing is the 100 mobile home parks we have that are in private hands, and the rent is going up higher than people can afford. And there is state law trying to dampen that down, which doesn't have any teeth in it, because there's no one to bring anyone to court, and there's no stance in the county where code enforcement can come in and say you've raised the rent too high according to state standards. They're forcing people to think about becoming homeless and maybe put pressure on your new homes for those who could afford it, and then we're going to wind up with people who can't afford either on the street. So are you overlapping into that arena?
So the pro-housing designation in and of itself is separate from that type of thing. So there are policies and procedures that we can put in place for housing development, so it doesn't specifically speak to mobile homes. However, allowing us to have more funding, say if it went into the Housing Trust Fund where they have a little bit more flexibility, could be things like rehabilitation of homes and things like that. So indirectly, it can help.
Just a
I'm
quick
not
question.
hearing the help
Oh.
in that. Can I have a follow-up on this? I'm not hearing the help. If I had a mobile home park, would there be a program that you can actually apply for a buyout of that mobile home park, upgrade it, and then keep people in their homes by virtue of the fact that you've subsidized the cleanup, keeping them there, and keeping them where it's stabilized? A different kind of question.
Yeah, this has come up before with the, I think there's such an importance right now, and obviously a public outcry for, this with the mobile home parks. It's just separate from the pro-housing designation, because that doesn't, what it does is it has the 4 categories that the state allows, and it has a list of things, and one of those things on those lists, unfortunately, is not mobile home parks specifically. However, there are things like, ADU programs or different types of housing. And we all know that if we increase housing, it does have a ripple effect in the community.
I just want to understand, so it really only applies to new housing development or rehab?
It's things like
Developments
rezoning, it could be an ADU program, there could be the missing middle. If you look at the presentation that was with the board, and you look at the Housing Action Implementation Plan, they tie in together. So the pro-housing, getting the designation allows us to have a competitive edge for applying for grants. And the things that we choose can help facilitate housing so that we can incentivize development.
When you define housing, if you live in a mobile home park, the only difference is that you don't have a foundation. It's still a house to the people that are in it. And now you're talking about housing people. What's the difference?
I just want to back up just a little bit and say that I completely understand what you're talking about with the mobile home parks, and I think it's an important element of housing. It just happens to be outside of the realm of the pro-housing designation.
Somehow you didn't answer the question. What's the difference in the designation? If you live in a home and it happens not to have a foundation, it's still a home. So how is it pro-housing not affect those? I mean, what is it that excluded them? I think they're included except for just terms of art here, having read the law, by the way.
I appreciate your question. No, I absolutely appreciate it. It's just, I'm trying to understand how I can rephrase I'm trying to answer your question, but the pro-housing doesn't, it's kind of like, if you're talking about a very broad subject, and I'm talking about one piece of it, and you're talking about something completely, a different aspect of it,
I think it's, and actually, I think it's actually a point of view more than it is anything else.
You're welcome to look at the pro-housing designation application, and you can see the state decides which categories that we can elect to pick from, and so that we can.
I think, not to overtalk you, I'm sorry, but I think actually if someone were to come in with a properly worded request for you to look at it, you might be able to find a way, and maybe that's really the term we need. We need some attorneys here that basically could develop that kind of a proposal. Because right now, you're going to be forcing people out of their homes in mobile home parks simply because you're developing a competitive price point that now all of a sudden is going to be applied to those mobile home parks by those guys that own the parks and trying to make the same money. And that's happened in the past. And so I'm just trying to say that you don't want to have an unintended consequence, and someone needs to take a realistic look at it. That's just my point.
Okay.
And not to get an answer, but just so that you'll understand the point.
All right, so thanks, Jim.
If I could just add a little clarification, I think what we're doing is mixing policy development with a pro-housing application that's been set out by the state. You know, you're preaching to the choir as far as wanting to keep everybody in their homes in Lake County. So we all feel that. This is just an application that was put out by the state, started as oh, this is so great, you know, your jurisdiction will really shine if you get pro-housing. But now it's getting to the point where it's, oh, you really need to have pro-housing if you want to qualify for any of these grants that the state's handing out. So that's what we're doing. We're jumping through a hoop. But nobody's arguing about the importance of different types of housing. However, I also don't know that the pro-housing designation will lead to gentrification. So I don't know that that in itself will force people out.
I can tell you.
But didn't want to debate with you, so I was just adding some clarification. We could totally take this offline.
I just want to add real quick.
I got online right now. Look, here's one thing you can do. Buy out a mobile home park, get rid of all the mobile homes and put in teeny houses, put them on a foundation. All of a sudden, you've got a whole bunch of houses. And you can do that around this whole county.
I think you have a lot of wonderful ideas, and I encourage you also to submit those ideas in the survey. There's a section where you can do that. I did want to touch on one thing, though. As Maria said, right now that they're using it as an incentive. However, at some point, they're going to be using it as a requirement for us to have the pro-housing designation. And with the continuum of care, as we know, that helps homeless, our unhoused population. They would not even be able to apply and to receive funds for their most current 6th round HHAP funding without the pro-housing designation. So it is helping in that way as well.
Lisa, is it safe to say, if I'm understanding correctly, is the pro-housing designation similar to like a certification at your job? Like you just have to meet a certain amount of expectations and you can put it on your email signature?
That's exactly right. There's 4 categories. You have to have points in each category. You have to have a minimum threshold of 30, as well as some other threshold requirements like having a compliance with your housing element and things like that. Okay. But you're exactly right.
All right, so who else would like to make a comment? We'll do a couple more comments. Then
We also have a
I got it.
comment on Zoom.
Tom?
Yeah, again, thanks for coming here. This is the same as the Monday one, so I appreciate it. But what I'm trying to understand between what Mr. Steele is saying and what you're saying, when it comes to the mobile home park conversation, did the state exclude mobile home parks from consideration, or did the county exclude them from consideration, or is it still an open-ended question?
So the pro-housing designation does not speak to mobile homes versus other housing. It's the things that the county is doing to further housing, and there are specific categories, and in those categories, there's different options that are there that we can select. And I do appreciate the conversation about mobile home parks and the situation that's at hand right now in Lake County, very much aware of that. It's just separate from what this is.
Okay, yeah, so it's what I'm hearing is that the criteria didn't explicitly exclude mobile homes. So it's still theoretically still in play. And then the other thing is I think as a county, and I've heard this sitting in some of the board meetings where a lot of the programs are not really meant for a county like Lake County, and I think mobile home parks may be one of those situations where we have an extremely high percentage of housing that is in the mobile home park category, which is probably makes us unique in that situation, that a lot of counties, it's a very small percentage of the housing portfolio. So I would like to, maybe as a future thing, is to advocate for rural counties like ours that have a situation like hundreds of mobile home parks to, get some assistance. Thank you.
I just have a quick comment. Being a resident of Upper Lake, I check the real estate page each morning. But what I've noticed and what concerns me is that there are a number of mobile homes over there at Meadow Point that are up for sale. And I'm thinking, how are these people ever going to get out? Because who would want to buy and come in? So that's just my comment. I really am concerned about the residents of our Meadow Point.
All right, we have a call on Zoom. Zoom caller, can you state your name? And
Go
speak?
ahead, Angela.
Thank you, Angela Emerald. Oh, I'm getting some feedback from you, Thomas.
I just wanted to follow up, Lisa. I sent you an email on Friday, and I asked at the Scotts Valley Area Council on Monday, and I still haven't gotten a response. So with the quick deadline approaching, I'd like to get some clarification and a couple answers. Where are the pro-housing designation documents, such as the application? There is only the HAPE document on the county website. And then, let me just run through these real quick. And then, can you provide a copy of the flyer on the website? And also the survey. Clear Lake Oaks is still not listed as an option for where someone lives, and that was supposed to be fixed. So, but if you can let me know where the documentation is, I greatly appreciate it. And thank you for giving out the website that Shannon referenced.
Thank you, Angela. The pro-housing section should be under the County of Lake administration page. And then if you look on the left-hand side, there's a link that says housing. And additionally, on 3/4, I think if that's a Tuesday, or it's 3/3, sorry, we did a presentation to the Board of Supervisors, and if you go onto the agenda, there is attachments, and you can see the actual pro-housing application and the different categories that are there. And I also, on the 24th, it'll be a consent item for the board, and there will be that application with the proposed points on it. Okay. And I also did reach out to our consultant about your question and to get that added in for you.
You're having some feedback. I'll go ahead and look again I'm on the county's website right now. The document is not on there, so I'll go back through Granicus and find it on the agenda. But currently it's not on the administration housing page.
Are you talking about the application, Angela?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not on the, it's not there.
Maybe you guys can email each other on that issue.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to finish up now because but I want to thank you so much. I do want to ask you, or possibly Supervisor Crandall, when he comes up to does his discussion, when our next ad hoc meeting is for the mobile home parks. I know you're on that ad hoc committee, and this is a very important issue for this community, as you are aware. Do you know that yourself, or what's? Okay, so Supervisor Crandall will talk about that. Thank you so much, Lisa. Let's give her a hand for giving us. Let's hope we get this pro designation. Thank you so much. So we're going to move on to Upper Lake Grange update, because I know we got the Easter egg hunt, and I'm going to make a proposal here, and hopefully I'll ask Lisa after her update. Go ahead, Lisa, thanks.
Yes, thank you. So the Grange actually has, the Grange actually has a couple really exciting updates. One is, as I think everyone knows now, the Easter egg hunt is coming. The bunny will be filling baskets at the Grange on this Friday at 5 p.m. and he welcomes you to join us. So we're looking for volunteers to help fill baskets and eggs. As if you recall, last year we had 6,000 eggs. My brother and I have been diligently filling, and I think we're at like 700. So we need, 5,300 more eggs to fill. So please join us for that. It's open to Grange members and anyone, so you can come check out the Grange, get to know who we are, and do some service for our youth. And then the egg hunt itself is next Saturday at 10. The 28th at 10 a.m. This year we are doing a couple things different. One is we are staggering times. So if you have a child in multiple age groups, you do not have to pick your favorite. You can wait and go with each round. The other thing is this year we will be limiting baskets. So last year we found that some kids got 5 or 6 baskets and some kids got no baskets. And so what we are doing this year is we will be limiting it to 2 baskets. So when kids come up, if they have more than 2 eggs that receive a basket, they will get to pick which 2 they want, and then they will put the other raffle tickets into a bucket, and if a kid comes up and says, I didn't get a basket, they'll be able to pull from the available basket. So we're just trying to make it a little more equitable to spread the love. We will have a backdrop for pictures, so please come out and take some pictures with the bunny. The next thing we have is that we do have a special meeting tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Grange. Special meetings are a little bit different because you can only speak about the specific things on the agenda, but we do have kind of a robust agenda for tomorrow. One of those things is finalizing our Earth Day event. So if you would like to come out and speak with us then, we'll be at the Grange at 5. The other is, if you haven't seen, we are starting in April a monthly farmers market. So this is a Lake County certified farmers market. We filled out the application and got the certification last week. We are looking for local vendors. You do not have to be a farmer to be a vendor, although we are looking for the majority of our vendors to be farmers, local farmers that grow and make their own things. So that application is on Facebook, on our Facebook page right now, so you can go and apply if you would like to be a part of that. And then in the next week, we will be going live with our Bachelor Valley Grange website. It is currently under construction, but should be live here in the next couple days, actually. So you will be able to go to bachelorvalleygrange.org, and we'll have our event calendar, information about who we are, how to be a member, and all of our events will be online. The last thing, and this is hot off the press, you get to hear it first from me. Some of you will hear it before some of our members. They'll forgive me though. We applied for our Summer Days event. If you remember, we announced this last month, that on the first Saturday of June, we will be having a resource fair and vendor fair on Main Street in Upper Lake. Very similar to what Wild West Days used to be back in the day. And so we applied to the National Grange for a grant called the Rural Life Initiative. And this grant was only available for for events that are addressing disparities in their community. And it was for $1,000 for the event. And we found out today that we are one of 40 across the country that received that grant. So that is really exciting news. So we're really pushing forward. We're looking forward to what the Grange has got, and it's our membership has now grown to 35. So we started with 18, now we have 35, and we're looking for even more to join. So please come out, check us out. Reach out to me if you have any questions. But other than that, we look forward to, in a year or two, our pancake breakfast is returning. So, thank you.
Now, I wanted to see if you had everything needed for the egg hunt. Do you need any funding for that? I was going to propose anything if needed.
So I will never say no to money.
Well, do you have some?
We could always use more. So I actually don't know the current. We have received donations. It's that time where like we're starting to, people, the deadline to give donations is Saturday, so it's getting poured in. So I don't want to say any one way. So and if the board or the council does want to put a request, I would recuse myself as the president of the Grange.
I just need to know if you need anything currently. Are you guys satisfied with what your supply and product for the?
I am never satisfied, Thomas. So.
What do you need right now, if you would?
So I don't I know we need candy. We need candy to fill eggs.
Okay, so candy.
Is super, super expensive. So I know we need candy. And then I don't know the status of all the baskets. On Saturday we are like captains of baskets. I know we have gotten a lot of donations for the baskets, but to me the biggest thing is we need
So some money for candy and baskets.
Not baskets themselves, but stuff to go in the basket.
$200, $300?
I don't want to.
She doesn't want to put a limit on it.
All right.
So if somebody wants to donate money, who do we write the check to?
bachelorvalleygrange.org.
All right,
Or
so
not
this is what I propose.
Bachelor Valley Grange.
I was proposing some discretionary funding because we've never used it. Tonight we're gonna have a few proposals for discretionary. Well, we have a few proposals tonight, but let's propose $300. I'm not sure how the county. I would have to ask Supervisor Crandall on how that would work to give to the Easter egg hunt. Is Supervisor Crandall in the building?
He just stepped out.
All right.
He just left, he ran away.
He ran away when the money came up. So, what do you guys think at the town recusing Lisa? Or we don't have a quorum to do it
Yes,
then?
we do.
We
have
do?
4 people, that's enough.
Oh, you can, okay. So what do you think?
Not voting.
I think we should.
Okay? You good with that?
So this is a request for money from the county.
Maybe we should check it, run it by.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
yes, but we'll say provisionally, we think it's a good idea.
Well, we'll make a motion, and you want to make a motion to?
Make a motion to request, I make a motion to request Easter egg hunt funding from the county.
For $300?
Okay, $300.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All
One
opposed?
abstention.
Okay. Motion carries? Can we do that with, yeah,
Well, we can, yes, we can,
all right.
well, we have.
Do we want public comment? Do you have a comment?
Yes, if we are a 50, the 8.
501.
We're at 8, C8. If you are interested in the tax deduction that comes with the nonprofit, you would write the check to the California State Grange Foundation, and they would send all of it to us.
Yeah, I think also from the county perspective, we like working with nonprofits.
Yes, we are definitely a nonprofit.
All right, moving on to worth business action. We're just gonna go to bylaws. Lisa, did you at least ask for this to be on the agenda? Lisa, you want to comment on that?
Yes, I do. So I have done some digging about our bylaws, and I know most people are gonna be like, they don't matter, but they do. And so I looked at the other municipal advisory councils, and I was looking to see how often have they updated their bylaws, what do their bylaws look like? And in my research, I have found that our bylaws at the Worth are on the less robust side, and at a couple points, they contradict themselves, or it's not very clear. And there's 4 max in the last year or so that have updated their bylaws. And Scotts Valley is actually in the process of updating their bylaws right now. So I wanted to bring to the council the idea, and I would be happy to champion this project of taking a look at our bylaws, making sure that they are applicable, and that if what we are currently doing is not reflective of what our bylaw says, do we want to update the bylaws to match what our actions are, or do we need to adjust what we're doing? And specifically, I'm talking about our committees for that, because the way that we have been using committees, which I think has been effective, is not in line with what our bylaws say we should be doing for projects. So I just want to make sure that we're matching it so that we're in compliance with the laws.
So we want to make sure that, I mean, when we have altered the bylaws in the past. And I don't know that we specifically were following any sort of plan rather than just putting in what we wanted.
Right.
You know, so I don't know what standard the bylaws have to adhere to.
I don't know if there's a specific standard. I can tell you that if
Well,
the
then we
council,
can do whatever we want.
well, not within the law, but what I could
Yes,
say
well,
is
that's
what
what
I
I'm
would
saying,
do.
the law.
And what I would do as if I were allowed to champion this project, what I would do is I would review all of the other councils and use that as a kind of like, what is everyone in the county doing? And I would speak with Supervisor Crandall and maybe even legal, Lloyd, to talk about what should our bylaws look like. And that's what I would put forth.
Okay, I have a question for former Supervisor Steele.
I'm gonna give him.
I believe that you set up our bylaws in the beginning?
So what's the question?
He's like, yep, I did.
What standard did you use when you set up the bylaws?
Well, what I tried to achieve was something for the local area. You're right on the right track. The Community Advisory Council is under state law, and it has a requirement for what you should look like, and then what advice you give and how that happens. So basically what I did, I looked to see what Middletown had done, and it was quite different. In fact, it wouldn't have fit over here at all. So whether or not the vote is binding, whether or not you're really just advising to your supervisor, because there can really not be any binding vote to him, and it can't be binding to the area. So they had an area vote over in Middletown. It doesn't work. So I didn't put that in the bylaws. So really what you're doing is, in fact, finding a way to bring public comment in, to coalesce both sides of an argument, and advise what both sides of the argument is, not to vote on one side of an argument, that sort of thing. If you put that really clearly in there, people would know what they were getting into and knew they had a fair hearing ground to give their comment. I would like this to be known. So that's what I see as maybe what I missed when I wrote those to begin with. And then the other thing was how you conduct the rules. If you use Robert's Rules of Order, you're going to have to have a parliamentarian. That's why I used the one Rosenberg, I think it is. I used those rules instead. That was written by a judge who basically looked at the problems with Robert's Rules of Order. So I would stay with those because it allows you to get further down the line. Otherwise, you got free rein.
Can I ask you a question of what you just said? I heard you say that as the MAC, we should be putting forth both sides of an argument, not taking a formal stance.
You're advising. And what you're doing is advising your supervisor as to what the feelings of the community is. So you need to say, here are the feelings of the communities, this is how deep it goes, this is how it could impact the community. Or you can say, the community believes that they should have a stop sign here and we're not being listened. Or we have potholes that somehow they're not getting to ever because they're using a standard of high traffic area, and this is off the high traffic area, and these are all people who can't afford to replace the wheels on their car. You can go down all those different lines and give the reasons why so that a problem that he has with selling it can be overcome.
Okay.
You have a tremendous power within a local area to come up with the opinion that allows your supervisor to get you what you need. And so he's either focusing the services of the county or in fact he's coming up with new services for the county. But all of that has to be done in some kind of matrix, so you have to have both sides of an argument and the rationale so that they can actually do it. So that's why you have people here that are telling you from the county how they do business. You listen to that and say, all right, so what we really want to advise you is, and here's the community advice, and here's the spectrum of advice.
Okay, so last year, at a couple times, and I'm the one that wrote them, we did recommend, like in one of our letters was we recommended that the supervisor vote no on a specific issue based on public feedback. Is that in line with what you were just saying?
Well, you're basically saying the majority of the county feels no, and we voted that as a panel, we agree with that. However, here's the other points of view.
Okay.
We want to include them both.
Okay.
The supervisor wants to not be blindsided by his own constituents who disagree with you.
Right.
And you really don't have any power of the vote up at the Diaz. He does. So in this case, you want to make sure he knows that here's the rationale, and this is why we're recommending it.
Okay.
But here's the reason why. All these people came in and they said otherwise.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so what do you, Claudine, Linda, do you have comments on Lisa's comments about the bylaws? So you want to,
So we want a survey of the bylaws as they are. Sorry, we want a survey of the bylaws as they are to make sure that they're compliant with all, whatever we got to be compliant with.
Well, to be very clear, I would plan, I believe there are recommendations to improve our bylaws as written. So what I would do is I would survey the other bylaws, I would have conversations, I would talk to, and at our next meeting maybe, I would present and say, this is what our bylaws currently say. These are the recommendations for changes. And then I don't know, it's not in our bylaws, but I don't know if the county has rules on what the appropriate procedures for changing bylaws, because sometimes, like for the Grange, for example, you have to have it, you have to read it twice, you have to have it available a certain amount of time and things like that. So we would want to make sure we Yes.
As far as I know, the county has to approve any changes to our bylaws.
Yes, Supervisor Crandall had his hand.
Yeah,
You all just have to, like, put it on the agenda, go over it, have a little, you could even have a work group, or you can just basically, as long as it's on the agenda here, you guys vote on it, you give it to, you know, the clerk, and then give it to the, you know, administration clerk, and then we put it on the agenda and approve it for you.
Okay.
It's really, yeah, however you want to do it. You can do yourself like a little ad hoc committee, put it together, finish it, come back, vote on it, and go from there.
Okay. Thank you.
I do want to add one more thing I forgot. You have more power than just recommendation to the supervisor. You have power to gather information. And for instance, I saw one here where they were talking about the trucks going over 175. Remember that? Well, the recommendation was really for you to write a letter to ask for information and recommend to even the Department of Transportation is headquartered in Humboldt County. And you can do that by yourself because the MAC has that power under state law. And say, hey, look, you got a problem here. The county can't do anything about this. You do something about it. Here's the recommendation. You have three things that come up. One is enforcement, the other is education of the public, and the other one is engineering. This is an engineering problem. The truck pulls in, sees the sign that you can't go over the hill, they can't turn around, so they have to go over the hill. That's what's happening over here. So if you write them a letter to their engineers and say, you've got an engineering problem, they have to come down and solve it because they're on notice. And so if there's ever a truck accident up there or anybody gets knocked off the road, then the state is binding to that. So you could do something like that, and you don't even go through the supervisor, but you obviously have to advise them every time that this is what we're doing and get their blessing because you can send it yourself. You don't want to do it without them knowing it.
Yes.
So that's something that basically is outside the county purview.
Thank you.
All right, so maybe we should create a committee or something.
That's what that's what I was recommending is that I would be the champion to lead a project. And if anyone wanted to be on it with me.
You know, back in the day when we did the first one, we weren't really creating any subcommittees. We just sort of had a group of people that just sort of got together. I think Claudine was there, I was there, and we just talked about stuff.
We can do that too.
And I took the old bylaws and set out what we wanted to change,
Yeah.
you know, and then.
And that's what I would recommend we do. In our current bylaws, we don't technically have committees, we have projects, and the project is
Yeah, I
led
saw
by
that,
one
I
of us.
reread it.
So you want to actually make it say a subcommittee sort of thing instead of a
No, I
project?
don't want it to, I want to match our bylaws and have so we can have a project, and I volunteer to be the.
Well, I'm
the
saying
champion.
that it says projects in the bylaws, but we sort of have turned the projects into subcommittees.
Which I would argue is out of compliance with our
Okay.
bylaws, which is why I'm saying we should.
Okay.
update them.
Okay. So, but I mean, like, we would just call them projects then and not subcommittees.
It's,
That's fine.
That's a simple fix.
well, as long as we have those, I mean, we gotta have some body, an ad hoc or whatever,
Yes.
the body available. If we wanna change the vernacular of it, that's fine, but we still.
Okay,
need
And
well-
there's a big difference. So our bylaws say that we have projects that are championed by a council member.
Yes.
We have committees that are not do not have council members on them. So that's what we want to talk about. I don't think we need to hash it out tonight. I'm
yeah, we
saying
need
that
to
we
move on,
need to
but-
talk about it and either update our bylaws to reflect that it does not have to have a council member on it, or update our committees to match what the
All right.
bylaws say.
Why don't you work on that, your project, bring it back to us, I'll agendize it on the next agenda, and you can bring it back and show us what you have, so we can.
Absolutely.
Okay?
The champion can be a public or council member.
Yeah, I want to still keep what we're doing. If we need to change the vernacular, that's fine.
Or the
But I still want these projects to move, or subcommittees to move on. It's important that we
Yes.
look at all the aspects of the county or in our area, and that we still do what we're doing. So, okay, so we'll move on. We're getting late here.
Yep.
I want to announce the District 3. We're going to call it it says Super MAC, but it's called the D3 MAC Alliance will be the name of it. This is a combination of all three of our municipal advisory councils coming together. It includes participants, including Lisa and me, We got participants from Lucerne, and we got participants from Clear Lake Oaks Eastern Region Town Hall. And we're going to actually need a vote on this because due to the Brown Act, we're having it April 29th at the Lucerne Senior Center, 5:30 p.m. It's a Wednesday. We're going to be having introductions from our council, and then we're going to be having a workshop, inviting department heads from the county, and I'm including Lars, and we're going to have law enforcement there. And then I've invited John Spica from Lake County area. He deals with the roads, the funding for the road projects. He's going to come. I reached out to Caltrans. So the initial idea is to have all these people available to be talked to from the public. And we thought these could be important issues that are important to all the North Shore. Again, it's April 29th. It's at 5:30. And we're real excited about it. It's at the Lucerne Senior Center. And we would like, and we're going to be doing mailers, and we're going to have, what else, Lisa?
A flyer.
Flyers.
A Facebook event.
Yeah, we'll get the message out. So this has been a long time coming. It's our first one, but we do need a vote from our council
For what?
Well, I guess
It's
because,
to have an additional meeting.
Participated?
No, the vote is, because we've already voted and agreed to be a part of the D3 MAC. What we need to do is, as a council, we need to vote to have a second meeting, because it is an official meeting. So we need a vote to have a second meeting, which I move that we have a second meeting in April, on April 29th, in addition to our standard Worth meeting.
okay, she made a motion. Lisa made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? So motion carries. So April 29th, and we'll have more information coming up on that. It's going to be a great meeting. A lot of resources, a lot of people there we can talk to and learn about.
Yes. Well, we would have our standard meeting, and then the second one is with everyone else.
So you're saying that this is like a special called meeting?
Yes, it's a special called meeting.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be really. All right. So let's talk to Pile Road. Dave, do you have some comments on that?
I'm Dave Hendrick, the co-lead of the Pile Road Subcommittee Champions.
Thanks.
Something like that. I forgot my glasses, so I'm having a lot of trouble reading. Maybe. Oh, yeah. Okay, there's still nothing after a month. I sent an email last month before the meeting, whether Cody is officially red tagged or not. Julia's got a list from the PIR, RFI, I mean, that said the red tag was lifted because he moved his trailer, and I never did quite get straight on that. That car that was dumped last month on Morton Street is still there with the CHP and county stickers, but they're all kind of busted out because the windows are all busted out now, and there's no tires left on it. I talked to Marcus directly this morning. This is the other big issue that I've got right now. There's a guy with a old school airport van. It's got old school printed on the side and stickers. And he has been camped up on Main Street above my house and my neighbor Jim's house. He'd been there about 3 weeks ago, and I called CHP on him, and they never did show up. And they called me later in the afternoon and said they were there, and he wasn't there. So he showed up again this weekend and had been camping there all weekend. So I called, I sent a message to Deputy Lyons and to Logan that the guy was camped up there. And I also called dispatch, and they basically chewed me out for contacting an officer who was off duty, which I guess I was bad. But I've called them 3 times, and they don't show up. and the guy is gone in the afternoon. So when anybody shows up there, the van's gone. So yesterday, I called CHP in the morning, and nobody showed up, and later in the day, I got a message from Logan that the site was empty. It was like 3:30 in the afternoon. They finally showed up there, but the guy had left again already. And this morning it wasn't there, but I fully expect he's going to come back. So I'm not really sure who to call. CHP doesn't show up in time. The sheriff doesn't show up at all. And apparently they were reticent in their behavior towards me that they were going to respond at all because they didn't seem to think it was important enough duty. So I'm not really sure what to do at this point, but I'll keep calling them and see what they do. Logan, however, was convinced, I think, that that the guy wasn't going to come back. So I don't know whether he actually talked to him or not. He never told me that. And I asked Marcus this morning about Cody's status and whether they were going to abate him or not. And he gave me a mishmash of information that maybe, maybe not. We don't know. I got to talk to my guys. I don't know what status the whole thing is in. And I'm not really sure, eventually is what he left me with. And I believe that, he said they were really busy and they'd done 4 abatements in Nice this month. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dave.
Questions?
All right, Claudine?
I'll go ahead with my Upper Lake traffic, school safety. I did speak with Sergeant Powell at length the other day from the CHP, and he said that they have received no complaints from Upper Lake, so we've got to get on it. And I was going to do a little banner, but the number is very simple, 707-281-5200. So he said that no matter what it is, you can go in anonymously and make your complaint, whether it be excessive speed or anything that you want them to be aware of. I did double check back with the school rounds. They are going at random times, and they have a real handle on the congestion at the 8 o'clock and the 2 o'clock pickup. He did have an interesting comment to make, because I said that when you were driving down, coming back up Second, the sidewalk area is not marked. I mean, when cars park there for pickup, you cannot get by them. You have to go into the other lane. So he suggested that would be something to take up with the county and see if in fact maybe a red fire warning would be placed there so that people couldn't park. But it hasn't gotten any simpler. And but he said, please tell the citizens to call in and complain. If you get a description of a license plate number, that's great. And he also said that he will come back, he'll send a representative here to our Worth meeting, maybe April or May, so we can ask questions or get some more direct advice. But I just urge you, please call. You can do it, you don't even have to give your name, but just let them know, because that's what they're working on as far as their rounds and so forth. But they really want to hear from the community. And I did follow up with, I was contacted by several people in town regarding bus excessive speed, the school buses. So I did give a call to the department head, and it talked about the complaints. There was one that was registered to Manzanita. So he took it upon himself. He called his bus drivers together, and they talked about the real need to keep, speed down. And he reminded him that he can gauge their speed on his little device. So, we've got to work hard to keep schools safe and for these, young students to be able to get from one point to the next. So we've got to do our part. When you see something, give them a call and just put your complaints in.
I just saw the CHP was stepping up some of their patrols on the corridors, so 20 corridors, that's good. Okay, we got a public comment, do you have a?
Who was first?
Right.
I got 2 questions. Me and Mary were, Ray Frederick, Upper Lake. Me and Mary are coming over here tonight, and I'd like to know the status of the stop sign on 2nd in Middle Creek, because we almost didn't make it here tonight because we almost got, or she almost got T-boned by some jerk that ran the stop sign. And I'd like to know the status of the last 3 years on when, if I've got to go out there with a stop sign and stand there all day long so nobody gets killed. That's the first comment. Second comment, you guys were talking about the speed limit in buses. Before I retired, the company I worked for, it was state law that they put cameras in every commercial vehicle that was on the road. Now, does Upper Lake, whoever runs the school buses, do they have that camera? Because that camera in our trucks, we'd get dinged every time one of the trucks were on the highway and they hit the ripple strip, it'd activate the camera. If we didn't stop at a stop sign, it would activate the camera, and if your speed limit was over the designated street that you were on for your route, it would ding that camera and you'd get either a write-up or you get fired.
And there are cameras, and they can be monitored. So I think,
Then they better get new cameras, because I tell you, before I retired, they put these cameras in, and 3 of the members of the team quit because they said it was invading their privacy. Okay, which I told them that this is all because of the insurance for the companies, they want to make sure the guy don't fall asleep and stuff like that. But I saw that thing on Manzanita. Don't call the guy. They should have somebody following these buses, and I know they probably don't have the staff to do it because nobody does, but follow these buses to find out, because I've seen buses hauling ass down Highway 20, and they're trying to get to their next stop. Well, they shouldn't have stopped and had that cigarette down on the other end of the street. But anyway, that's my question to you guys. Thank you.
yeah. There are cameras, and their speed is being monitored. But what the point being is that I took it upon myself to approach the department head and make that person aware of some of the complaints and some of the phone calls I'd gotten. He's had a meeting, and I would say just keep it up front, and if you see things, let us know. So, well, we had the letter.
Yes, we're working on a letter for that, Ray, to submit.
I read it last meeting.
And what's the letter about again? Who's it going to?
About the stop.
I know it's about the stop sign. Where's it going to?
Well, it's going to have to go to.
Are you gonna get it, are we approving that letter?
Yeah,
or?
we have to. So we just have to edit it, and then maybe what, Claudine, if it's okay with you, maybe we can commit to having it on next month's agenda, so that we can vote, and it would go to the Board of Supervisors. And as a reminder, on the Worth website, I will be adding, and I will commit right now, somebody hold me accountable to this, please, because I'm committed to a lot. By the end of day Friday, we will have it on the website, because at the last month, that's what we said, is we were going to have a reporting form on the website. So if there's an incident at that Middle Creek 2nd Street, that's not CHP-able, that they'll report it there. So that will be up by end of day Friday.
That was important, any historical accidents that have happened there.
One more moment. Based on the letter, Supervisor Crandall, when you come up and do your discussion here in a moment, can you speak to that? And will that?
I didn't hear it, sorry.
What was the comment?
I'll report it when I go up.
Okay, thank you very much. So Margot?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Quick question, Claudine. Is part of the problem there was a change in staff parking? And if that was part of it with a new principal, will that help maybe to reopen talks about um, doing something else with staff parking, so it changes the traffic flow?
Well, that would have to be something that, you know, we could look at and discuss to open up parking spaces, because it is, I live right above it, and I can watch it every morning and afternoon, and I guess when buildings are laid out, we're not thinking ahead to the number of additional families or you know, yeah, the traffic that grows, and whether you be your staff or your parents or whatever, so we didn't have adequate parking.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll move on to levy. Is there anyone, did you want to talk about the levies for a minute, John? Thank you.
Hi, John LaBoito from Upper Lake. So after the last meeting, I spoke to Mr. Upatahe, and he promised that he would reach out to us, and I haven't heard anything. Lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. That's probably really all I need to say.
He promised to contact you, and he never reached out to you?
Yeah, that's right.
Did you email him again?
He promised to contact us, he never heard. Oh, I would say that all the members of the committee were pretty frustrated by his presentation last week, because we had submitted in advance a list of written questions to him, and in our opinion, he didn't really address them. So
Okay.
that's really all I can say. Linda Rosas-Bill did say something really interesting during the meeting, in my opinion. She said the department now has 3 coordinators and 2 technicians. And the technicians, that's a buzzword for the guys that actually do the work. And, but from my observation over the 8, 10, 12 years that I've lived out there, and I expressed this to Mr. De Leon years ago, before, that the general maintenance work, not the big stuff, not like pulling out all the vegetation, removing sediment, just the basic maintenance that the county used to do, you know, mowing the grass, spraying the weeds on the levee road, taking care of the burrowing squirrels that tunnel through the levee. It's just not happening anymore. And it hasn't changed over a couple of different new directors of water resources. So I don't know where we go with this. Thank you. And I don't want to be impolite, but it's getting dark.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm not
Thank you. I know the meeting's gone long tonight,
be
but
driving at night too much.
I understand,
Okay.
but thank you for your time.
Thank you, John.
Okay, so we're going to go to Nice Copter. Tim?
Well,
A couple big things are happening.
yeah, a couple big things are happening. The first thing I want to do is sort of apologize, because I think our project was sort of progressing on its own without regard to the council or the county or anybody, and maybe we sort of, it just seemed like everything was running so smoothly, that we were just having such a good time, that we were making proposals, and which we probably shouldn't have, because we were proposing to spend money which we don't have as a project, or as a whatever you call it. So, basically, as it stands now, we are pursuing, it's an event, it's our version of what they call a national night out. And basically that started somewhere, and it was like people literally coming out on their front porches and sort of saying hello to all their neighbors, so that everybody knew who was who and where was where, and so they realized that there was a community, whether they were aware of it or not. And this is the idea that we want, and this is specifically for Nice, you know, but just not, because Nice, as anybody will tell you, you know, Nice is just a problem place, right? That's what you hear all the time.
It's a place with
Poor Nice, you know.
I just heard that comment from a guy that was over there at the stand 2 hours ago.
Yeah. So we are definitely, we want to develop a sense of community in Nice. And there is the COPTER program, which stands for Community-Oriented Policing and Targeted Restoration. Okay. And that is supposed to provide, and it was for Lucerne too, right? It wasn't
It's
just...
for Lucerne too, yeah.
Yeah, Nice and Lucerne, which were, I suppose, suffering under a cloud of sorts. That there was this perception of sort of being under something,
There
under,
was elevated crime rates with limited police.
okay.
We're being underserved before we have the copter program, definitely. If I
Okay,
can make a
so,
comment.
and this event that we propose for June 13th is to bring the community together with all the first responders and all the service providers in the county, from hospitals and mental health things from the county, and even from the Century, all the retailers, but it requires money to rent the Nice Event Center. And that's what we are proposing to ask the county to help with. And the other thing was about our neighborhood watch signs. We were proposing to get some funding for that as well.
So supervisor or former supervisor, can I ask a procedural question? So for this, I think we are hearing 3 asks. 1, can we have a Worth-sponsored event or Worth-hosted event called the Nice Night Out on June 13th? 2, can we use funds to pay the venue for it? And 3, can we use funds to pay for the signs? Can we cover all 3 of those things in a single motion, or do we have to have multiple motions?
I would do multiple motions, but I think that the Neighborhood Watch has asked me, aside from, to use the actual supervisor's funds rather than having to come to this town hall. So I would just do a motion for, the actual
The
renting
event.
of, the event.
Yeah.
And yes, you can do that. That's the purpose of this council is to do things like that. So it's fully, you just have to bring it here. That's the thing.
So we just need to have we just need to make a motion to have the event, and then the 2 funding things you will handle?
All you do is set that up, submit it to me with whatever, like a W-9 or whatever the case may be from the center. Is it Nice Event Center?
Yes.
You just get me that, we turn it in, they cover it, that's it. You just get the invoice, or you get the application or whatever it is.
All right.
And send it and get it to me, and we go from there.
Okay, and...
So like if you're the guy that's gonna sign it.
Yes.
You be the signatory.
Yep.
They may need a W-9 from them being Nice Event Center, to pay them. And that's all they need, is that application, a W-9, and they know what they need to give, because when we've done,
Okay.
this before, we just get a W-9 from them so we can pay them.
So we would just, we could sort all that out at the
send it to me.
Presentation of the.
You just vote on it here, everything else can happen, and you just get that to me and to the clerk, like how you always look. Anything that you send, like your agendas and whatnot, we get it to them, and that's where it goes from there.
And the possible funding of the signs, that would be a separate.
Actually, it was sent to me. I need, which group is it that's doing it? Is it a nonprofit group? Is it someone separate?
No, this is basically, the way I see it is, the Nice Neighborhood Watch hasn't really even started yet. And I think that at this point, at this event will be our kickoff, when we actually go live, if you will, with the Neighborhood Watch and the Citizens Patrol.
Are you asking where the signs are coming from?
Right, so I don't mind, I don't mind doing that separate, so it doesn't eat from your,
Yeah.
you know, your town
Okay.
council. Yeah, and so, and I already discussed that with one of the
Yeah.
people who were adjusting or helping. So I figured that if I just get that, I know I got an email, but what I would need is like an invoice for them or whatever.
Okay,
And
so
then-
what
yeah.
we probably need to do, because my understanding is that we're not doing it through the actual, we're not doing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but we're purchasing the signs on like Amazon or something, right? That's not,
There's a sample of one that we have at our house. I brought it in today from Amazon, or
But
two,
that's, yeah.
two for $18.99. I brought it in so you physically see what the quality is and how it works.
it's not, so it's not through an organization that we're getting the signs, we're getting
I
them
mean,
from
if
them.
it looks like a pretty, does it have to be through that company, or can you just go through packet mail, because we could just do an invoice and
You can
then
do whatever you want. That's just an example of
go
what we're
through
doing
packet
in
mail?
front of my
and-
house.
Remember how you did for that? You do it through packet mail, we can, yeah,
Yeah.
if you do it through that, we can just do it like how you did your banner.
Okay,
Yeah. And that makes it even easier,
Yes.
because we have an account with them.
Yes.
okay.
All right, so we'll go ahead and look in the pack of mail and see how much.
So we need to have
And
a
I-
motion.
Yep. I move that the Worth hosts an event called called Nice Night Out on June 13th under the Nice Community Watch Project.
Under the Nice Copter Subcommittee.
We have
or
a motion
project.
from Lisa, and we have a second?
I second.
Second from Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you.
I also want to thank Supervisor Crandall because he also let us know that, because the Nice Event Center needs insurance, and so he already did confirm with us that he would ensure that the event is covered through the county. So thank you for that. That's a big expense off of our.
Yeah, thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for your support
Thank you
of
for
this
your,
event.
thank you for your support.
Thank you for your, okay, now we're gonna close with Supervisor Crandall. Yeah.
Sat down just to get right back up.
Committees and whatnot, I didn't know, I thought we had more. But I'm gonna go straight to, there was one that I wanted to get right into, but I wanted to say that, they were talking about the LIPAC and the GPAC and all of that, commenting in all of those different forums. Now, I want to give you an example of what this is as well. It's the same concept. So they're going to the communities. A lot of you in here possibly are in those meetings, and you give your insight, input, and if you don't see it there, make sure you get it to us, because it still has to go through the process. It still has to go back to their groups. They have to vote, formulate it. Then it goes to the Planning Commission. Then it comes to, well, you have your meeting Friday. I know that they said they're having something Friday. Make sure a lot of those comments are there. If you see something that's not the same, emphasize it. And if you don't see it, get me an email or get it to the Planning Commissioner or get it to the Planning Commission. If it doesn't get addressed there, then it comes before us. That's when I can accentuate all of your concerns. I can make sure and remind them, hey, this wasn't brought up at this last meeting, and I heard them say it, or they've said it and they have it documented from an Earth or Worth or CERT meeting or at one of the LAPEC meetings, and that's how we get those in there. So that's also the purpose of this group, and I was glad that Jim brought that up, because that is exactly what this is for. This is so that when I go to vote on something, as other projects that have been put in place, they have to go through the initial process. For example, a couple of weeks back, there was a proposition for something in a different area about getting extra hours for staff to spend on this group and their project. Now, when it came to the board, folks were thinking it was coming to the board to be voted on. Now, anyone would think that, so it's not their fault. I don't blame them for that, but at the same time, one of the things we have to emphasize is if there is a project, there is a process. It has to go through Planning Commission, has to go through a review, Planning Commission, then it comes to us if it gets appealed, or if it gets passed. So there should be a format and there should be a protocol when it comes to that. And I know too that there was a really big issue when it came to the biochar. That was another thing, and I had to explain that there was a lot of times they want, and they being the citizens want, supervisors and planning commissioners to be right there with you in arms, locking arms, saying, we deny it. Well, we have to be careful too, because these groups that put their projects through sue the county. And so if they feel they didn't have a fair shake at it, or if they don't know, then it looks like we're just consistently biased. And so I just mentioned that so you know that's honestly why when I come here, I do my best to be as objective as possible before I vote on something. And when it comes there, if you've noticed, I've always usually voted with us here. So just giving you that insight, it helps these town councils help for that purpose, so that I have your your thoughts and comments in mind. And I think I'm glad that's actually something, Jim, I'm glad you left for me when you left office, because it really has helped me as a supervisor to be able to accentuate and represent my district. Yes, the stop sign at 2nd and Elk. I was given something, actually, I want to say quite a bit ago, an urgency ordinance, and I think, Tom, you helped me with that, and I think that's going to have to be the approach, and I think we're just going to have to move forward on that, because again, just hearing that there was almost an accident on that. I know I talked to Lars about it. He did mention the same thing that I think Scott talked about, and that was a study, and Glenn talked about the same thing, and I think there's just no more room for waiting on that. And so you guys said you have a letter coming too, and that'll help me as well. So we'll just push on that. I actually did just text Lars and said, I'm going to have to bring an urgency ordinance about this. There's no other way about it, because we can't wait.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so just wanted to let you know that I did make that, that text just now. We did go over the cannabis ordinance, I want to say 2 weeks ago. It was a really robust discussion. It's coming back on the 7th, so if you have any insight on some of that when it comes to Article 27, please make your comments, please read through and get your information out there, get your thoughts and comments in there, so that I can make a really informed decision. I know one of the things that I brought up was dispensaries. Right now, C2, commercial 2 is by right. So if you have a commercial 2 building that you own or renting, you can actually open up a dispensary. And I think in our district, we don't want to have like at least 20 of them, right? I mean, that's one of the things. I think that's also why the LAPEC and the general plan is important as well. So we have these types of discussions when it comes to that. I know that right now we have 2, and I think 2 right now. I thought there was one in Upper Lake, but they haven't been operating as one. They were talking about it. So right now we do have 2, I think, as of now. So, and that's in Nice, and one in Nice and one in Lucerne. But these can pop up more. So that's one of the things that I brought up at the cannabis ordinance regulations formats, is that I'd like to...
2.
There's 2?
I thought there was...
Oh, that's right. There is 2 in Lucerne.
Upper Lake has one. Upper Lake.
Dennis would know. Dennis would know for sure.
But I don't think that they're not operating. I went in there like last week and asked, and I talked to the gentleman that owns it. And I went to school with both of them, and they're like, we're not even really doing any of that. They could, because that was the discussion we had before, but they're like, we're not even really doing that. So it's not Nice. It's right. That's a smoke shop in Nice. There's a smoke shop in Nice, and there's a smoke shop in Lucerne. There's one that is right by Lakeview. That's it. It could have been one, but there were some things that happened when it came to public health, so they were raided. But there is 2 in Lucerne, yeah. So anyhow, just giving you that insight so you know how important it is for the LAPEX and the general plan, so that some of these zoning and some of this by right use can be reevaluated, so that way in your communities you're not just allowing different businesses to just pop up. You know what I mean? I did talk about that at another event I was at, and a lot of people move up here from the Bay Area, and they come up here and think that they're on a farm when they're just here, and they're in a specific zone, but they're in the country, so they can just start raising, cattle, goats, whatever, and it's like, wait, you're in a zoning area that's not acceptable for that. So before it might have worked out 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, because this is what this was about here, right? But now it's starting to change a little. You got more density when it comes to people moving into specific areas. So again, make your comments known and make sure that you get your insight there, and make sure I know so that I can represent you appropriately. And I know that you all will probably have a lot to do with, doing a letter or something, or giving me your comments. And that's exactly what you all are for. So, don't want to forget the rent stabilization ordinance. It's the committee that we put together, the internal committee, basically. It's not like an ad hoc. It's not a Brown Act committee. I get a lot of comments about it. I'm very careful, and especially because of what Lisa said. These groups are watching, listening, and they are, in my opinion, I feel like they have been retaliatory, and I don't want to see anybody be affected by that. And it's gotten to the point to where folks have been coming to the board, and for good reason. You know, I mean, they're pretty intense, and I know they're frustrated with us. And I don't take it personally, because if I had to, you know, I have aunts that live in I forgot what it's called. If it's in Lakeport, I keep forgetting the name of that trailer park. Sterling Shores. I have 2 aunts that live there, so I hear it on my own level, and then I hear it at the board. I know some folks that live in the Lake Village Estates in Clear Lake Oaks, and they were the ones that brought it to my attention, of course. And then you have Meadow Point, and it's just. It's not good to see people living in that fear because of these groups of people who want to pass through their fees and whatnot. So we do have one more meeting coming up this Friday where we're going to finalize some things we've worked on. I'll just say it like that so that it's not. I don't like to be vague. I don't want you to feel like we're not doing anything, because we are. I just don't want to give out too much information. I want to make sure whatever we're working on, what we are working on, not whatever, because we have something. We have a product. We have something that's coming forward. And it's going to get to county council so that we can bring it to the board and do something about this situation. I hope that lets you know. You can ask me after. I really am cognizant of who's watching, and I want to make sure that we don't give them enough to do something else to retaliate against these folks, this group of people who are very vulnerable, and that really frustrates me. That this group of people are able to do that. There's laws in the state that put us in a position to have our hands tied. The state makes a lot of rules and laws and regulations that put us in a position to take these bullets, and that's what we're doing right now. And I think that we're going to do something to just make sure that we own it. And I'll leave it at that the best I can. But again, I'm here with you all, and I know that it's not happening as fast as I'd like it to happen either, so I'll leave it there. And if you have more questions, I'll answer to the side on that. Okay. If that makes sense? Yep. You guys understand why I'm doing it that way? Okay.
Right, yeah, we understand.
Yeah. But for that, I'll leave it there. And Lake Pillsbury, I forgot, I got to keep that thing going. There is a meeting tomorrow, and it is with Rollins' office, so. It's a Zoom meeting, so I'll let you know if there's anything that comes out of that. But there's still a lot of movement on that when it comes to trying to work with the federal government on that side of it. So still discussions there, and that's very helpful. It's very promising for us, because that's going to carry a lot of weight when it comes to stalling the process, as we've been asking, as Lake County has been asking, and hopefully getting FERC's attention. So, yes.
Well, hold on, Tom. Need you on the air.
Oh, sorry. On the Lake Pillsbury, I know a year ago, we were looking at the odds not being all that great, but it sounds like the odds are a whole lot better for Lake Pillsbury to get that to slow down. What's your perspective? Are things looking better now than they did a year ago?
I didn't hear what you said, but I think you're just basically asking me.
On the Lake Pillsbury
I think it looks a whole lot better now, especially with them giving us the attention. You know, we wrote that letter at the beginning of the year. We didn't think we were getting anywhere. Then, bam, all of a sudden, you know, we made that Anaheim trip. I think that made a big difference. And then, and they followed up, because at the Anaheim trip, Aubrey Betancourt is her name, and she said, we'll be setting a meeting in the future. And, you know, you hear that from federal agencies and different representatives, and you're like, yeah, okay, but here it is. So I'll say that tomorrow we are having having an online discussion, and we'll go from there. And if I can get something to give you a good update on for next month, or if there's something that comes out of it sooner, you'll see it. But if I can give something out next month that comes from there, I definitely will give you some insight on that. So, but again, we've been pushing to slow this thing down and get a better look at what's best for you know, our community here when it comes to fire resiliency, and of course, you know, the whole thing with the fish and whatnot. And we know that the seismic report isn't as dangerous as they made it out to be, and that's what we keep hitting on, things like that. So. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. Any comments?
Yep, sorry. Quick question. Now that it's spring and it's spring cleaning time, do we foresee any dump days in our future?
Yeah, you know, I'm working on it. Yeah. And let's see, let's look at something for next month. Let me write this down.
Yeah, we love those dump days.
What I mean by is, like, when I come before you next month, I'll have either some dates or some times or something like that, so we can figure out what we're going to do from there. Because those are a big hit. And I don't know if we're going to be able to use the Cal Recycle grant because they did last year, and I know they wanted to go around the other route, but I think I have enough funding to try and do, it won't be as robust as the other ones, right? Like how, because they use the Cal Recycle grant and they use the different agency, but they might be able to work with us again too.
What about at our last meeting, Linda had shared that she had money for cleanup. Could that be used? Because she did reach out to partner with the Grange on Earth Day. So it would be fantastic if we could
Coordinate all
combine
three.
those forces.
I'll add Linda to my discussion with either, because it's either the, I don't know what they're called, but I know it's Pascal or with CNS Waste, one of the two, because we work with CNS Waste each time, so.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, any more before we go to announcements? Thank you so much, Supervisor, appreciate it. Thanks for all the great updates and action taking place. Announcements, I just want to say one thing real quick is Carson, which is across from Floyd and Nice, a gentleman from, I guess, he's a teacher because he has a whole testimony out there on paper. He bought that property, which was used to be, I guess, on the old days known as Honda Hill. He's fenced it all and he's going to make a camp out of it, so. And I haven't been up there, but he's been up there every weekend and cleaning it up, so that's great news. Nice needs that kind of action. So any other announcements?
I have one.
Okay, Tim?
Kate, you go first, Kate. Go, please.
She
go,
needs
please
a-
go.
Clear Lake Cleaners is having a food distribution tomorrow at the Nice Event Center, which is immediately between Collier and Carson on Highway 20. Recommend if you'd like to get food, pick up groceries for your household, please be there by about 7:15, 7:20. We have 2 people writing down names and moving the cars through very quickly. I have food for 264 households.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I would like the balance of the people here this evening to know that for the last 3 years, for sure, Dennis D'Ambrosio, Tim Chiara, and Thomas Acevas, as well as Linda Alexander, have been volunteering first Wednesdays and third Thursdays, starting at about dark 30, let's say 5:45 to about 10:30 in the morning, unloading a big flatbed with anywhere from 4,000 to 6,500 pounds and setting up the packing so that we can individually hand out groceries. And they're brave enough or dumb enough to follow me, but that's how we've been getting it done. We have volunteers that are anywhere from 10 to 13 people there.
Good crew.
And it's a very good crew. They're rock stars. We couldn't have done it without them.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. All right, Tim, one more last thing and we're going to adjourn.
Okay, don't go. A couple of meetings ago, I read a letter from Jim Steele when he suggested that we should write a congratulatory or conciliatory letter. Okay, well, and I want you to explain about it.
I don't have the letter in front of me, but, okay, I don't have to have it. Well, in any case, no one here really knows the details that went into having the biochar plant pulled. But there was a lot of background that went on. And to say to the community, and actually I wrote the letter, but basically said, we understand that what you did, what you were trying to do was in the best interest of the community, best interest of your tribe, and we congratulate you for that. It just turned out to be the wrong place, but we really believe that you did do the right thing for the community, and then to encourage them to come and approach the council for any future projects so that you could have it, both sides agreeing to the same thing right from the start. And if you do that now, rather than wait for the end of this whole process, you will basically have it independent of the process. You'll have it just yourselves saying this by reaffirming that they did the right thing and the tribe was in the right place. They need the encouragement. They feel like, just from my standpoint of talking to tribes, they feel like they got set upon a little bit. This is the second time it's happened to them. They were also trying to do something at the castle, and they felt like they got set upon. You want to establish that, in fact, no, that's not the case. It just turned out to be the wrong project, or the right project, but in the wrong place, and you're really on their side and love to have a cooperation with the tribe. So that was the reason for the letter, and I think that you want, the timing on that is a narrow window, and if you let it go too long, it's going to look like the victor's smiling down on them a little bit. Okay, that was the reason that I did it. I thought the timing was perfect when I sent it to you.
So we should write a letter to them, then.
All right.
We should make a motion to do that.
Make it.
Someone make a motion.
Well, we want to, what did you call it? A recognition. Okay, recognition, they're doing the right thing, and we want to work with them whenever we possibly can. Okay, so I make a motion that from the council, we write a letter to the Scotts Valley tribe.
I second.
And we have a first motion from Tim, second from Lisa. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye. So, and you're going to be writing the letter?
I'll write it.
And you'll bring it to the board on the next agenda?
Yes,
Okay.
I can do that.
Anything else, guys? Because it's been a long night. Appreciate it
And we
so much.
appreciate everybody's
It was
sticking with
important
it.
information. We adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second that. All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Thanks so much. I'll help you.